Good evening to all. Good evening to all. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So today I will complete the module 6. So before that I will revise the previous class topic because that seems to be some disturbances were there in the class. So I revise that topic once again. Okay. So what we discussed the first topic was which one? The strain gauges, right? The strain gauges. What is the purpose of this one? The strain gauges are mainly used for what? Used for measuring the strain itself. From the name itself, it is clear, right? Is it clear, Anis? So we are going to measure the strain by using the strain gauges itself. So what is the principle behind this one? We are measuring the resistance there, right? We are measuring the resistance there. So let's see. That is, it is a part of what? A Wheatstone bridge. That means, if in the case of a Wheatstone bridge, when the ratio R1 by R2 and R3 by R4 is same means, then the voltage output will be equal to what? 0. Am I right? If any one of the resistance changes, what will happen? Yeah, this value will get change off, isn't it? This value will get change off. So in the case of strain gauges, when we apply certain tensile force, what will happen to the circuit? Say R4 is connected to this material. When it is applied as tensile force, what will happen is the length will increase, area will get a reduce of. That means the resistance will increase according to this relation. R is proportional to length by area. What will happen? The resistance will increase. That change in resistance will be equal to what? The strain developed. By means of that strain, we can find out the force applied or the stress inside the material or torque. All these things can be easily find out. That is the case of strain gauges. Clear to all of you? Yes, fine. Next is, we discussed about the load cell. The three types of load cells are there. One is hydraulic type, pneumatic type, and the strain gauge type. Yes, let's discuss the hydraulic type in detail. Yesterday we discussed it. Yes, here there exists a platform there on which we are placing the material to be checked. That is, the force applied has to be checked. I told you an example of the fuel tank, right? So here there exists a piston. At the bottom of the piston there exists a diaphragm which is made by means of thin metal sheets. Okay, and bottom of this one is filled with the fluid. Yes, and then the initial fuel pressure is noted by means of this measuring device. And when it is applied, what will happen? The pressure will be developed and that will be noticed here. Based on that, based on the rise in pressure, very easily we can find out the force. So this is how the hydraulic load cell works. Is it clear to all of you? Yes, fine. And next comes to the pneumatic type. Yes, pneumatic type. That is also, it is using the same principle itself. That is, here also it is using a diaphragm there, but it is made by means of rubber or any other polyethylene materials. Soft materials are using there. And then bottom of this one, here you can see that the two vents are there. One is for the air entry and other is for air out. That air out will be connected to a pressure gauge. So here it's a portion where the material is going to be loaded. Because of that, this diaphragm will move downward and apply some pressure on the gas or air which is present over here. And that will be measured. How much pressure is increased, that will be measured with the help of the pressure gauge here. Okay. So this is the principle behind the pneumatic load cell. Is it clear to all? Okay. What about others? Can all of you follow me? Yeah, these things we discussed yesterday. That's why I move fast. Okay. And next is, we discussed about the topic torque measurement, isn't it? How you are going to measure the torque. I gave you one example. Yeah, I gave you one example that you already used in IC engines. That is a rope and a drum, isn't it? A rope and a drum to measure the force. Okay, by means of that, very easily we can find out the torque measured. So here there exists a drum is there, which is connected to the engine shaft, and then it is surrounded by means of a rope. One end of the rope is connected to the spring balance, and from that I got the value Fs, and the other end is connected to a dead weight. Okay, and take it as M into G. Then the force applied by means of this engine can be measured with the help of this one, by means of opposing force developed by this one. Okay, that means when I increase the load over here, finally the engine will get struck off because of this high load over here. Okay, based on that we can measure how much is the torque of that engine. Okay, so how that is F is equal to mg minus Fs. By means of this we can find out the total force developed by the engine. Is it clear to all how to find out the torque by using Prony method? Yeah. Now we are going to discuss the today's class topic. Yes. So first of all, we are going to discuss the remaining portion of the torque measurement. Yesterday we just started, that is by means of optical system, optical torque measurement, Okay, so yesterday I asked you one question, that is, have you heard about the optical fiber? Yes, you might have heard that these are used for what purpose? Yeah, communication. That is mainly for data transfer. What is the mechanism inside this one? Why it is named as optic fiber? That means the data or the voices that you have to transmit will be converted in the form of electromagnetic waves. That means light waves. In the form of electromagnetic waves it will be converted, and then it will be passed through the optic fiber. What is optic fiber? It is just like a mirror. Inside this one are reflective walls. This data that is, when it is transmitted, it gets reflected by means of the walls of this one. Okay, so if you are using this optical fiber in your room, you will get light. How? That is, suppose your room is dark, no ventilation, no windows, no doors are there. Okay, let it like so. So it will be dark if no light is there. Okay, so thing is that you are using an optic cable. One end of the optic cable is open to the sunlight and other end is open to the room. You will get light from through this one. How? Because the light will fall on this one, it will get reflected and the light will come inside. So that principle we are going to use in the case of optic torque measurement. Is it clear to all? Yes. So here, okay, here there exists the engine shaft and there exist two wheels will be there. One minute, please wait. Okay, two wheels will be there. Okay, yeah, okay. Two wheels will be there like this, and these wheels are coated with the black and white strips like this. So what will happen is, when light falls on this one, the dark surfaces will not reflect the light. The white surfaces will reflect. Okay. Here we are using the optic cables like this. One optic cable is here like this, and other optic cable is moving from here to here like this. The one optic cable is the transmitter of light, and other is receiver of light. Say, one optic cable is used for transmitting the light towards here. The light is formed by means of a diode. Can you say what is diode? Yes, that is our simply we call that nowadays it is as LED, light emitting diodes. Okay, so very bright light can be produced by means of this one. Okay. And then here also we can see that one more wheel is also similarly placed. So here also you have to provide the optic fiber. Then the EMF produced will be E1 plus E2. Is it clear to all of you? So E3 will be equal to what? E1 plus E2. So that is what we called as law of intermediate temperatures. So temperature T1, T2, T3 are there. We are making a link between T1 and T2, T2 and T3. Then T1 and T3 will the same, and answer will be obtained will be equal to what? E1 plus E2. So these are the three laws which is used for the measurement of what? Measurement of temperature by using thermocouples. This law of intermediate temperature is mainly used for the calibration, of thermocouples. Is it clear to all of you? Okay. Yeah. Now we are going to discuss the last one, that is resistance temperature detector, RTD. The resistance temperature detector. Okay, that is same as that of our strain gauges itself. The strain gauges, we are seeing that when the strain is applied, yes, what will happen? The resistance will vary. Same way here, when the temperature difference is there, what will happen? Yeah, the resistance will vary. So that principle is used here itself. Here also we are using the Wheatstone bridge circuit itself. Okay. Here the other end, one end is connected to the RTD. Say here it is R1, R2, and here it is R4, and here it is R3 is equal to RTD. Okay. This is connected to the DC supply, and here it is connected to the output voltage. Okay, and output voltage will be 0 when no temperature difference is there, and when the temperature increases, what will happen is, yes, the resistance will also get vary off, and the voltage will be increased. Voltage shown, our output will be increased. Based on that, we can find out how much temperature difference is there, and it is very expensive. Why? Because usually the metal for making this R3, that is resistance, is using is platinum. Okay, so that is why it is of a high cost. Okay, but it is much more precise when compared to other temperature measuring devices. And another item which is derived from this itself is what we call as the thermistor. Instead of this metal, it is replaced by means of the ceramic metal composites. Okay, ceramic metal composites. So the ceramics base into that certain metals like manganese, then manganese, nickel, cobalt, copper, iron. These powders will also be added, and that is used as R3 instead of platinum. That is the difference between the thermistor and a resistance temperature detector. So is this clear to all of you? Yes. So we completed the module 6. Okay, let's revise once again. So hope it is clear to all, right? Okay. So here RTD, and before that we discussed about the thermocouples. We have learned that 3 laws are there. Before that we have seen that Peltier and Thomson effect is there. So metal A and metal B are connected like this. When the two junctions are kept at 2 different temperatures, the EMF will be generated. Okay, and next is the 3 main laws are also there. That is law of homogeneous circuits, law of intermediate metal, and law of intermediate temperatures. Okay, these 3 items are there. And before that we learned other temperature measuring systems, that is by means of mercury thermometer, that is simply based on the expansion itself. See, all the 3 cases, mercury thermometer as well as the bimetallic strip and the pressure thermometer, all these works based on what? All these works based on the expansion principle itself. Okay, here we can see that the mercury thermometer is there, and the bimetallic strip is there. In that also it is, you can see that the 2 metal pieces are used over there, having the different thermal coefficient of thermal expansion. Because of that it will get bent off. Okay, next is in the case of a pressure thermometer, we can see that the mass and the volume is kept constant over there. Okay, and because since the mass and volume is kept constant, the temperature can be measured by means of the pressure variation. Okay, next is the dynamometer for measuring the force. And as well as the torque can be measured by means of this one. So here there exist mainly 2 type of dynamometer. Other type is also there, the eddy current dynamometer and the hydraulic dynamometer. Another type is what we call as the Prony, that we already discussed. Okay, and then here in the case of eddy current, we can see that when a rotating conductor is placed inside a magnetic flux, the eddy current will develop, and which in turn gives negative effect on the rotation of that conductor. Okay, so that principle is used here in the case of measuring the torque of engines. So the main items present are the stator coil is there, and the stator coils are charged by means of stator casing where DC supply is given, and then there exists the engine shaft, that is a rotor. In between that there exists the cooling water entry will be there to remove the heat. Okay, next is the case of a hydraulic dynamometer. Yes, here it is the negative effect is given by means of the vortex formed by means of the water flow. That is because of the special design of the rotor as well as the stator. You can see that it is in the form of elliptical shape like this, and because of that a vortex will be formed that will create a negative effect. That means it will tend to rotate the stator. That force acting on the stator will be measured and the length is to be multiplied to get the torque there. So this is how the hydraulic dynamometer works. And next is the other type of force measurement device is another type is what we call as the cradling type, right? Cradling type. Here we can see that an engine shaft is there, that is the power source, and here you can see that there exists the power absorber is there, and there exists a cradle unit is also there. Okay, so that cradle prevents rotation, and this length is to be known, that is the center distance to this length of this cradle is measured, that is to be multiplied with the how much force is applied by means of the cradle on this item. So that is measured. Okay, and next is by means of optic fiber cable we can measure the torque by finding out the phase difference between the light waves which is generated from these wheels, isn't it? These wheels are coated by means of black and white strips. Okay, and based on that phase difference, that what can be find out, the torque can be find out. So these are the things. Is this clear to all of you? You can see here the notes. Everything is written over here. I shall upload this note as well as the recorder session today itself. Okay, so tomorrow evening I will send you a set of questions. Okay, tomorrow evening I will send you a set of questions, and so you have to answer it on May 1st. Is it okay? Okay. Okay, then by all, feel free to call. Yeah, that will be our assignment 4. Next assignment based on the questions from the module 6 that we already these topics. Okay, then, bye all, good night, take care.